Thank you. All right, Ms. Perez, we're back with you and your client, David Ziegler. You've had a chance to talk to Mr. Ziegler a bit as it relates to this case.
Yes.
2 drug-related charges. Now, are you going to be talking to the prosecutor, or are you ready to tell us what's going on?
We're ready, Judge.
Okay.
The offer from the prosecutor last week, thank him for that.
Okay, so what's happening today then?
Okay, Judge. So at this point, I did talk to him and we talked about the offer. And we are going to be waiving the preliminary exemption and if not.
So just preserve the offers that have been made by the prosecutor on both cases, waive the preliminary examination on both felonies for continued discussions and negotiations on everything.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Ziegler, by waiving the preliminary exam today on these 2 cases, the court doesn't take any testimony at all, and no testimony is presented in front of me. So the 2 cases will move on to the Kent County Circuit Court with a plea of not guilty. So as the cases move forward, it's a plea of not guilty. One on the 10-year felony, one on the 20-year felony. Your attorney will continue to discuss with you all aspects of the case and continue the open negotiations with the prosecuting attorney. While the offers currently are preserved, she'd still talk further with the prosecutor and to you about other options that might be available as the case moves forward. Now, do you have any questions for me, Mr. Ziegler?
No, ma'am.
Do you feel like you understand what's going on?
Yeah.
There's 2 documents on each file that are required to be signed. One is called the waiver of the preliminary exam, which you're going to do on both cases. Waive the prelim, no testimony taken, the case moves on to circuit court. And the other document is called the waiver of the circuit court arraignment. So you don't formally go in front of the circuit judge to be arraigned on these charges again. It allows me to say not guilty on your behalf for both cases as the case moves to circuit court. Do you understand that, Mr. Ziegler?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, if you give Ms. Perez authority to sign those 2 documents on each file for you, that's all she's signing, those 2 documents on your behalf for both files, I'm able to have my clerk email those to her, and then she sends them back to us. Do you give her authority to sign on your behalf, those documents I've described?
Yes, I do.
All right, I appreciate that. Do any questions pop out at you that you want to ask at all, Mr. Ziegler?
Not at this time.
All right, Ms. Perez, can you think of any other questions or concerns that you have on the Ziegler matter?
Judge, I would just like to very briefly address bond based on Mr. Ziegler's very limited criminal record, his last 16. So I would respect for a.
Your audio is kind of coming in and out, Ms. Perez.
Sorry, Judge.
I get that you're wanting to have the bond less than what it is right now. Let me find out exactly what the bonds are in these cases currently. It looks like it's a $10,000 cash surety bond and a $20,000 cash surety bond, according to the 10-year felony and the 20-year felony. Okay. Mr. Tarango, is there anything you can think of that you want to say regarding bond?
No, Your Honor.
When I looked at the court services report as it relates to it, and the one case goes back to February, and then the other case is just a couple of weeks ago. I get that a cash surety bond is high. There's no question it costs money, and if you don't have the money, you can't make it. But based on the fact that one was in February allegations and one is October 4 allegations, I'm going to have you address the issue of bond with the circuit court. I'm not going to change the bonds at this point, but Mr. Ziegler, you'll want to stay in contact with Ms. Perez, as she's going to be given notification as to what date you get in circuit court for your next appearance. Do you understand?
Yep.
And I say appearance, it could be by Zoom. I don't know that, but she'll let you know. Then, Ms. Perez, my clerk will send you over the emailed documents today. Then you get those back to us today.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned on the Ziegler matter. Thank you for your courtesy.
Goodbye.
At the jail, we're just waiting on Robert Verdier next, if you please.
Verdier?
Yes, Verdier. Is the Niedering family a part of the Zoom right now?
Your Honor, they are attempting to log on to the live YouTube stream. I just sent her the link to her, her email.
Okay.
So if you give me
Hold on one
one.
second if you would. Hold on one second if you would, Mr. Verdier. I see you at the jail.
Okay.
Mr. Boivet, do you know if it's Emily that's trying to connect?
Yes, but she's not logging on to the actual Zoom.
I get that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we know that she's connected so she can hear. Should I try calling her and just let her listen to it on my phone?
Give me a second. I can call her right now.
Okay, just find out if she's connected because I don't want to start until she's had a chance to connect.
She is connected, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. All right. Then we're on the record on the case of Robert Verdier. It's D20-02386FD. And Mr. Verdier, my name is Judge Sara Smolenski, and I have you in front of me on a 15-year felony called operating while intoxicated causing death, as well as operating while intoxicated third offense of a 5-year felony. You're here with attorney Megan Mast, who's actually a colleague of attorney Schultz, standing in for this hearing today as it relates to the cases that we have before the court. We also had a pretrial today on file D20-00827ST, which is a driving suspended, unregistered vehicle, no proof of insurance case that goes back all the way to March 3rd, 2020. And the fatal accident was the date of May 28, 2020. Okay, today's scheduled probable cause conference is an opportunity for you, Mr. Verdier, in talking with your attorney, Ms. Mast, and in discussing the case with the prosecutor, Mr. Lawrence Boivet, to make a determination whether you want to hold your preliminary exam. I believe the preliminary exam is actually scheduled for next week, Monday, with reference to the same charges, of course. Having said that, Mr. Boivet, where are we at this time?
Your Honor, at this time, my understanding is Ms. Mast is going to request that we hold a preliminary exam. I indicated to her that we are actually going to be adding a third charge after this morning to the felony information, which is a reckless driving causing death. There's still quite a bit of outstanding discovery, as is expected with these types of cases, because there's a lot of moving parts. And so I know Ms. Mast would appreciate it if the court can find us a date that's a little further out than next Monday. I don't believe that the client is going to object to that, and the people would have no objection either, because there is quite a bit of discovery still left. And I think that Ms. Mast had indicated they were looking around for a potential expert witness with respect to the labs for the preliminary exam.
Okay. Ms. Mast, is there anything that you want to add?
That is all correct, Your Honor. We have submitted numerous discovery requests, still FOIA requests, and lots of information requests to different entities. We have not gotten anything back yet. As counsel stated previously, these things take a long time, unfortunately, to get back from places. So we are still waiting on a lot of discovery for this matter.
Do you anticipate, Ms. Mast, that you'll be handling the preliminary exam, or will that be Mr. Schultz?
I imagine it would be Mr. Schultz, and I've kept him updated with, of course, all the discovery and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Is Mr. Verdier in custody on any other matter?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you're obviously talked with Mr. Verdier about the possibility of the prosecution adding or amending the complaint to add another felony charge of reckless driving causing death.
Your Honor, I have not had a chance to talk to him about that.
Okay.
When we brought him in, I was hoping to talk to him for just a moment to kind of explain what was going on today.
Okay, all right, I get that. And Mr. Boisvert, your position is that you're not objecting on behalf of the prosecution for having the preliminary exam put out a little bit of a distance beyond next Monday, the 26th, so that we can handle the whole thing at one sitting?
No, Your Honor, to try to force the preliminary exam before the discovery gets in place just invites an additional appeal issue down the road. I don't want to try cases twice.
And I anticipate that you've been in contact with the Niedering family, if that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry if I'm doing it wrong. But that
Yes.
you've been in contact with them so they're aware of when a new date becomes available, they'll be notified by victim witness.
Yes, she and I spoke at length this morning, and
Right.
I told her that criminal cases like this, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So she's aware.
Okay. All right. Mr. Vordier, is that Bitely address still where you live?
Yes.
That address on Bingham, whom do you live with?
My girlfriend, Kami Whiteman, and her children.
How many children live there?
Her daughter, Haley, who's 17, and her son, Remington, who's 6.
Okay, 17 and 6. Okay, well, obviously the court takes this case extremely seriously, as all of us should. I know it's a difficult time for everybody, nobody more than the Niedering family. As it relates to scheduling times, we want to be as efficient as we can about making sure that we don't have to duplicate matters. So while the prosecution and the defense do not object to adjourning so that the further information can be obtained, it may be, Ms. Mast, it may be that a preliminary examination, once all the documents you're looking for, it may be possible that the preliminary examination will not be needed. At this point, we don't know that, so we keep everything scheduled. We'll get a new date for the preliminary exam, but I want to make sure either Mr. Schultz or you, Ms. Mast, have clear communication with Mr. Verdier about the fact that once the preliminary examination, if it is going to be run, once it starts, the discussions and negotiations are pretty much, concluded at that point. And I want everybody to be 100% aware of that prior to starting a preliminary exam. Obviously, that's something that I know you and Mr. Schultz would go over with Mr. Verdier. I don't have a problem, Ms. Mast, putting you in a conference room with Mr. Verdier for 5 minutes or so here so you can keep him apprised to what's happening. I don't know the new date yet. My clerk downstairs is going to have to be coordinating that with our docket schedule, but all parties will be notified of the new date. I will grant the adjournment as requested by the defense and as agreed upon by the prosecution. And then we'll get a new date that works for everybody and move from there. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mast. Thank you, Mr. Boisvert. Well, let's put Mr. Verdier in a separate room with Ms. Mast. And Ms. Mast, let's also remember there's a separate misdemeanor case that's just kind of tagging along with this. That should be part of the discussions. Okay.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Thank you
Honor.
for your courtesy. You bet. Thank you. Mr. Mirkay, did you think Mr. Durr was going to be with you?
Well, he's not in jail. I've telephoned the number on the pre-bond report, and a woman answered and said that she will get hold of him. I asked her if he was planning on being in court this morning, and she said, I'll get hold of him and get back with you. I haven't heard back from him. I haven't heard from him, so I have not had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Durr at all.
Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't. The pre-bond
Oh.
report suggested he was still in jail. And then when I went to schedule a visit at the jail, he had bonded out.
He had bonded out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he hasn't contacted me, and I have not.
Let's just give it a few minutes here and see if he hooks up to our Zoom.
Okay.
It was set at 10:30. It's a little past that now. And I want to just see, I want to see something if we have, because the number you have, just a minute, went to that lady that said she'd get a hold of him?
Well, the number that I have on the pre-bond
Don't say the whole
report-
number, but does it end in 5730?
No, it ends in 4046.
Okay, let me see if I can get him at the number we have.
Okay.
Is his first name Brian? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'm getting a busy number first, but let's see.
In this day and age, what is that?
Right. Yeah, both times. Huh. The charge that originally was made against Mr. Durr was a retail fraud first degree 5-year from the target at the marketplace target, which is what we call the Gaines Township.
Sure.
He was charged with a co-defendant as well. I'm wondering if we have any information on what her case is doing. Do we know, Amanda? I'll see. See if you see anything on that. What I anticipate doing, Mr. Marquet, is I anticipate putting this off to the prelim next week, Monday, the 26th.
Okay.
It's set for a prelim on the 26th, and it's scheduled for 10:30, the same time as this, PC.
Yep.
But I'd like to not do a bench warrant for him to see if there's some explanation of the
Sure.
mix-up, like when he bonded out. This morning, we had a case where the lady was sitting downstairs for an hour and we didn't even know she was physically in our building. You know,
Oh.
so there could be some explanation, and I'll have our deputies check right now to see if he's checked in our building at all. We're not hearing that he's checked in at all. But
Well, I'll stay plugged in
co-defendant-
here until 11 or so, so I'm not going anywhere real quick.
Okay. The co-defendant is set up for a scheduled arraignment. She posted bond with J&J bail bonds, and her arraignment is next Monday.
Okay.
So she hasn't even been arraigned yet, once she bonded out.
Your Honor, since this case is being set for a prelim next week,
Yes.
would it be acceptable if, when I subpoena my officer and my people, my witnesses, if I can have them via Zoom, just in case Mr. Durr doesn't show up again?
Yes, that's fine. It's not a problem whatsoever.
I don't, no objection.
All right, well, that's appreciated, Mr. Mirkay.
In the meantime,
So-
between now and the top of the hour, Your Honor, I'm going to make that phone call again to see if that
Yeah,
woman
can
has
you
had
call
any
that lady
contact.
and see? And
Will
maybe
do.
try to find out how she's connected to him. Is it a mother or is it the defendant? Co-defendant is Marcasia Smith.
Yeah, she seemed a little sketchy about who I was, and
I'm
I'll see what I
sure.
can get out of it.
I'm
what I
sure.
can.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get that.
Be right back.
All right,
Thank
all
you.
right, thanks.